Alright, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Pyre, and last time, in case you didn't catch it, we had our second round of the Liberation Rites, and man, so we went up against the Dissidents, who were the enemies that had caused us the most trouble in the past, and so I was worried, I was trying to avoid that exact situation, but yet we still ended up with that matchup. And we even gave ourselves an unexpected disadvantage by activating some of the Titan Star effects. And so we very, very narrowly managed to pull it off. And in doing so, we elected to set Headwind free. And, I think that's probably the right choice. I know that Treebeard over here had told us that he supposedly had a way of showing us what the likelihood of, or how freeing different people would affect the likelihood of his plan succeeding, and I couldn't find where that was, so let me know if you know exactly where that number is that we're supposed to see, because I think we're supposed to know at this point. He did introduce it to us, but for whatever reason, I didn't see it, so, if I can't find it, then maybe I'll just look it up, but anyways, so yeah, we are back on what will now be the third Liberation Rite cycle. But let's see what Volfred has to say after a successful round. Following Headwind's liberation, we find Volfred smoking out his pipe, his eyes averted. He looks up and smiles as you approach.
Hello, my boy. Excellent work back there. Thank you for your perseverance. Though, I was just reflecting on how very fortunate I've been in all of this. Not just me, but really all of us who had a chance to stand with Headwind here.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Headwind, I feel like, being one of the original three and being the person who was one of the key leaders that brought everyone together, he certainly feels like he deserves it, but at the same time, it's awfully strange thinking that we're going to be traversing the downside without him. That just seems like our whole team dynamic is going to be totally different. And I don't know who takes the reins now. Without him, without Jodariel. Rookie doesn't really seem like the one that would take the lead, despite him being now the longest tenured of the group. I mean, besides Volfred. Or maybe technically Tizo, but you know what I mean. Anyways.
Ours is, admittedly, a somewhat desperate plan. It was vital to me, should the Nightwings rise again, that it be under proper care and guidance.
The plan now, after having freed Headwind, I believe went up from about 33% to 41%. Maybe 31 up to 41. Might have been as much as a 10% increase, so that seems like a lot. I would think that, again, having not seen how much of a difference Headwind made relative to other characters, I would assume that Headwind was probably up there at, or very close to the top, in terms of how much he would improve our success rate, because he's been such a key character, but maybe I'm wrong. There could be other things that Headwind doesn't do as much that Volfred thinks would be more beneficial for his plan. I don't really know exactly what his plan is all about at this stage. He's been pretty secretive, so maybe there are things that we ought to know. Anyways,
I was just thinking how well Headwind served in that capacity. Whatever is to be the outcome of all this, no doubt his presence shall be missed.
What I'm saying.
My agents and I, we were unsure of him at first. A common boy like that, completely unacquainted with the rites. But, in the end, I felt that he was worth a shot. Someone like him, sincere, determined, with loyal friends, and desperate to get home. Those qualities spoke volumes.
Then, he falls silent for a time.
I have every faith that he shall strive on our behalf, now in the Commonwealth, and it is my hope that he yet finds the one he sought.
You and Volfred speak little more of Headwind for now. We are left wondering what shall become of him in the Commonwealth. That's right, so a lot of the characters have these unresolved conflicts that they're struggling with. And let's see, so like for example, Ruki had that rivalry, or that deal more specifically, that he made with Barker, the leader of the Dissidents, that we seem to have resolved. Whereas Headwind's, comparatively, was a little bit different in that he fled the Commonwealth, or at least the primary city of the Commonwealth, in order to be with a person who he had some pretty strong feelings with. However, this person was supposed to be his enemy, and that's ultimately what got him exiled. So the thing is, that person, from what I understand, is still in the Commonwealth, and is not in the downside. So, in order to resolve that, he needed to be free. Unlike Ruki, for example, who is looking to resolve something down here in the downside. Anyways, we have some notes in the Book of Rights. Let's give it a quick read. On mercy. In the words of Triesta Titus, mercy is the beating heart of a truly free society. Mercy, even for the perpetrators of the darkest deeds. As our liege, Solium Muir, drifted in an ocean of regret, it found there mercy, or rather, it found him, and it saved his life. Mercy, freedom, they are intertwined. A society which raises a clenched fist against its own shall follow the doomed path of the Empire of Sar. Ours shall be a merciful society. May the perpetrators of the darkest deeds be sent to join us here, where they may learn, as we have. Mercy shall engender union among all of our different kinds. We shall stand shoulder to shoulder, equals in the same society. Huh. That's a different take on the downside. In some ways, she's almost spinning it as if the downside is this utopian place that they built in their image, rather than the Commonwealth, which they had little control over, and that people didn't feel as though they were equal, that they were merciful to one another. It's kind of the opposite of what most people would say about the downside nowadays, which I don't know if that's more telling of how far the scribes strayed, or people strayed after the scribes built the downside, or if that's that the Commonwealth is maybe improved or is better, relatively speaking, than it used to be. I don't know. Oh, can we get any more of these now? I tried. The Lone Minstrel's white lute affords you glimpses of your journey through the downside through the music it contains. I'm not sure if we clicked on this before. You shall hear the theme of the masked wanderers Headwind, Jodariel, and Ruki. Huh. It's fitting after having freed Jodariel and Headwind. Does it continue playing if we leave? Oh, it doesn't. Okay, maybe for another time then, in that case. Let's keep moving. We have a job to do. Alright, and we're back to the Moonlight Alcove, the same place that we went to last time after having completed our first round of Liberation Rites. A small landing place on the dark side of the Sacred Mountain where Volfred indicates you can await the next cycle of rites. You once again find yourself amid the hidden splendors of Moonlight Alcove. Here, you can await the time until the stars deign to shine for you again. Alright. No one to talk to. I guess we're just biding our time as we hole up with our companions until the stars align once more.
We have returned to a place of respite. Please make yourselves comfortable, such as you can. We are at the mercy of the stars, but I expect they shall shine bright again in time. As for me, I shall return by then, for there is something I must do.
Okay, so this makes me so suspicious of him. Every time we complete the liberation rites, we go to this specific place, he disappears for a little bit. He says, "Oh, don't worry, guys. I'll be back. I'll be back. Just don't think about it." I mean, it really seems like he's doing something to coordinate with whoever else is in on this plan with him, and I mean, obviously, after having freed someone just now, this would be a meaningful time to check in with those people, to make sure they're all on the same page, and makes me a little nervous here. There, from atop the sacred mountain, you gaze down into the abyss that is the downside. You wonder when the stars shall stars shall align. Shall align, shine, same thing, right? Themselves once more. There, upon the sacred mountain, you and your companions once more await the night the stars begin to shine again. The plan of which you are all a part is set in motion. The Commonwealth, a nation that stood almost for 1,000 years, is in turmoil. Oh, it's starting already. For some reason, I was under the impression we might have a little longer before we pulled the trigger, but it looks like it's already begun. If your companions return there through the liberation rites, what sort of place shall they be coming back to? Okay, maybe it's not a hard and fast, okay, it started now, and everyone who's stuck in the downside is going to remain in the downside for the time being, and everyone who's free and in the Commonwealth is going to remain in the Commonwealth. It may still be that we can have some transfer over, continue to liberate a few more people. It's not like this is, or that was, our last chance to free anyone. Many moons pass. One evening, amid a downpour with no interest whatsoever in relenting, Wolfred requests everybody to convene. You understand he has an announcement of some sort. I don't know. Like I said, I'm getting more and more nervous with each time we see this guy. Soon, everyone is assembled, and Wolfred regards the group. What was that revealed? The rite of something? Everyone. There is an aspect of our plan which I've not talked about with you at length. I'm sure there is, Wolfred, you know? I'm sure there is. You just love to withhold important bits of information from us, don't you?
Look around at your companions. What do you see in them?
He lets the question hang a moment in the air.
I'll tell you what I see in all of you. All of us. I see in all of us a living vision of the 8 scribes themselves, each one among them hailing from the different tribes which later formed our Commonwealth.
They predated the Commonwealth. Okay, I'm not sure if I realized that. It seemed like they broke off from the Commonwealth and then formed the downside. Anyway,
my observation does not come from pompousness, I think. Rather, I believe the scribes themselves desired, or shall I say, desire, such a course. Together, they created all this ceremony, of which we're now a part. The exiles, liberated through their rights, went on to found the Commonwealth, based on their values and their teachings. Thus, an instrumental aspect of our plan is to embody the spirit and the culture from which the Commonwealth arose so many centuries ago. That way, when we are all united on the other side in solidarity, the people all shall see that we reflect the values they yet cherish in their hearts, not merely our own. Anyway, we are still missing one key representative on behalf of Molten Belief, and I happen to know a certain bog dweller who I think shall fit the part most splendidly indeed. I think I know who he's referring to. We have already met said person. He motions for someone to approach. Yup.
sure did. Thought we were gonna be seeing more of you at some point. A certain bog dweller slithers forward. You recognize her straight away.
It is my pleasure to introduce you to a dear old friend of mine, whom I believe you've met. Welcome to the Nightwings, Bertrude.
The bog dweller called Big Bertrude utters something guttural by way of greeting. We are to understand you require further aid from us.
Yes, dear Bertrude, the time has come. Bertrude here is far and away the most accomplished alchemist whom I have ever met. You soon will find that she knows much about the rites as well.
Bertrude looks you and your fellow exiles, each in turn. We frightened ye, your parents. Everyone is silent as Bertrude searches their expressions. Then tremble, small ones, and hold well your tongues, lest we remove them. She takes her leave without another word. Oh, so pleasant. Oh, so pleasant.
Please excuse Bertrude's blunt manner. I guarantee she shall more than make up for it.
Everyone disappears. It seems now that the ranks of the Nightwings are complete. Bertrude joined the group. You sense her powerful presence.
Now then, my boy, perhaps you noticed that the stars are bright once more up there behind those stubborn rains, meaning it is time that we go back to business.
Indeed, once more, several stars shine bright within the cold and storming sky. Stars themselves await the will of the Nightwings. Let's choose our path towards salvation. Okay, let's take a quick look at who we ought to be going after. Because, well, last time round we had the unfortunate pleasure of going up against the dissidents in the Liberation Rite, and it seems like maybe this is just speculation, but I mean, it is a sample size of 2. Supposedly, the standings here are supposed to reset after every Liberation Rite. Yeah, I suppose they look a little bit different at the moment than they did before our previous round. But in the first Liberation Rite, we went against the Tempers, and then immediately afterward, they dropped to last place with 0 favor. And then this time round, I see the Tempers have moved up 1, but are still very close to the bottom. And the Dissidents, who we just defeated in the Liberation Rite, are now last with 0 favor. So, I don't know. That makes me feel as though maybe the Liberation Rite has a little more of an effect on the standings than we originally thought, and that there is some carryover from one cycle to the next. But anyway, at the moment, we're currently primed to go up against the Chastity or the Fate. They're actually tied. The Fate, I think, are, if I remember correctly, quite simple to go up against, and the Chastity, we faced them relatively late in the process last go-round. So, I mean, one would assume that was supposed to mean that they were fairly difficult, but I think we did a pretty good job against them. They were kind of big and slow because their primary participant, their leader, was Manly, who is a big, slow tree dude. And we do well against the big, slow people. We don't do as well against the little, quick people, because that's our style. And we prefer to, be the only ones who try to zoom past everyone. It's a little harder to do that when other people are just as fast as you. So, with that in mind, we can go against these guys, the Tempers, who were the group that we faced in the first Liberation Rite, who, again, their leader is a big, slow, demon, so similar story to the other people we were just looking at, whose name currently escapes me. Alright, so these are the little quick worms. And these are the accusers who we could continue to beat up on if we really wanted to. So last time round, we saw that, I think I was saying that there were only 2 rites before the next liberation rite, which is actually not true. We had 3. It's just that we only saw Treebeard's planner after we had already completed one of those rites, and that first one was against the accusers here, and they were such a pushover that I already forgot that we had gone against them. So, yes, in all likelihood, we will probably have 3 opponents to go up against before our next round of liberation rites, which means we'll get a little bit of a mix here. I mean, I don't want to totally gang up on them, but then again, I kind of do. But at the same time, yeah, let's do it. We'll mix it up later on, I'm sure. You're just such an easy target. Your next adversaries are to be the accusers, led by one called Len, whom I believe you first met many moons ago. He is a tale I hope shall be forgotten. His is a tale I hope shall soon be forgotten. Uh-oh. He's, not so highly regarded, I suppose. He then tells you what he knows of your next adversary. Mendel the Liar, the first adversary you confronted in the rites, not long after you took your first steps on the path to freedom. Or I suppose this is the minstrel, I should be speaking in the minstrel's voice. A former constable of the Commonwealth, he gained a reputation for his strict and brutal manner. By any means, he always caught the crook. Once, he arrested a civilian who hated him on suspicion of theft of the Commonwealth artifacts that had gone missing. Mendel discovered the artifacts himself in the civilian's home. The suspect soon exiled still and denied the charges, even as they cast him downriver. Did we always have this music? Or is it just me, or are there more instruments playing in the background and this is more intense than it usually is? Because I feel like it is. It seems awesome. I just don't remember it being this awesome in the past. The case was investigated further, though too late. Suspicions turned to Lendl. It turned out he planted the damning evidence himself. So, he was exiled in turn. In the downside, he soon became acquainted with the rites, having heard of all this from several people in high places. He asserted himself as the de facto leader of the accusers. They bent to his aggressive nature and prevailed many times under his watch. I don't know about that part. Yet, each time his chance at liberty arose, the Nightwings either defeated him or simply did not show. At any rate, Lendl shall be looking forward to our arrival, I expect. We may resume our journey come daybreak, but in the meantime, I would advise taking what rest you can. You bid the lone minstrel a good evening. At dawn, you shall take flight again. Alright, we have more people to talk to? Oh, you know, it's just Bertrude. What's up, Bertrude? You find Big Bertrude looking about the black wagon in a disapproving way. I mean, she helped us make it, or at least spiffy it up in order to make it seaworthy. I mean, granted, now we've since made additional changes to make it flight-worthy, but we'll see. She fixes her gaze on you. Her expression does not change. Nah, such a clutter added to this wagon since we looked upon it last. Unsightly. That is true. We have added a lot of stuff to it. We remember thee from our abode lacking hands. Then thou must be the leading one to whom Sandalwood heard. She moves in close, studying you. You recall that the mere touch of a bog crone of the southern bogs can induce paralysis, or worse. That one such as thee can extract meaning that told. Was a feat we wished to witness for ourselves. Thy flesh has seen but the smallest fraction of
years, which ours withstood, and yet we are expected to believe that thou canst understand the Book of Rights.
Then she backs away, for someone else has joined you.
Hail, Gertrude, madame. This evening, to your liking at this time, or
Is everything to your liking
this time, or is there something more which you require? We have been unable to locate a supply of rottwood lizard extract among thy belongings. Other than that, we shall lodge no complaints at present. It is possible that Bulfred has a small supply among his possessions here. If you would care to accompany me, we may yet procure some. That's would be agreeable with us. Then, after you.
As they depart, you think you see the lone minstrel nod his head your way. Hank? You? I think? Well, I mean, we'll read the book now. Rites of Flame. In the words of Solium Muir. With these blackened nails, I do hereby inscribe the rites of flame. The bylaws shall be written here in full. We, the Eight, decree the rites, a test of one's true worth in body, mind, and spirit. Now, until the stars abandon us, this shall be binding law within the downside. Those deemed worthy in the rites are to regain their freedom from the downside, and return from whence they came. Exiles shall conduct the rites as one of 9 triumvirates, and look toward the stars for guidance on their path. Exiles shall bear this book as status. Looks like we have one more. Let's see. Essential structure, in the words of Solium Muir. The essential structure of a rite shall be as follows. Where chosen by the stars within the dark of night, shall 2 triumvirates stand in opposition, far enough afield, beside their consecrated pyres, symbolizing their resolve. In each triumvirate, the 3 shall act as one, demonstrate their trust in one another, not just in themselves. Triumvirates shall endeavor to extinguish the pyre of their adversary, whose flames are only to be staunched through a celestial orb descended from the stars. Whosoever pyre remains burning shall prevail. The triumvirates are to disperse. Still more? Okay. More rules to the pyre? Potentially? Searching the stars, in the words of Solium Muir? We, the 8, have seen the turning of the stars from now until the ending of our age. Heed their guidance and ours. The stars take many cyclic turns. The rites commence at their behest upon celestial landmarks where the downside's greater titans fell before the heavens. Bearing this, the book bestowed on your triumvirate, you, the reader, shall perceive under which stars you are to congregate. Follow where they lead, as your adversaries shall. Either of you fails to appear, then neither of you walks the path. Whether you prevail or fail, from that point the stars shall guide you on. Still more. Man. Didn't realize we were playing Library Simulator. Before each rite. Again, in the words of Solium Muir, the rite shall not commence unless the necessary preparations are complete at a celestial landmark, ere the stars align. Exiles shall conduct the rites bearing this book, of which there are but 40 copies, each bound in astral hide. 40 copies. I feel like you could do some math and figure out, well, I mean, there are supposedly 9 different triumvirates. So what, that means 4? No, 3, sorry. Maths. There are 3 sets in total, but what does that mean? There can only be 3 rounds of of the triumvirates, or does the book get passed down like a hand-me-down, and then there are 4 left over at the end of that? And I don't know. Does that mean that goes to, I don't know, the minstrel and the minstrel's friend, who seem to be very closely tied to all this, but not super clear as to whether or not they can read or anything like that? I don't know. Exiles shall wear the sacred raiments fashioned in our likeness at the summit of Mount Elodium. Their identities are to be concealed, for they shall represent us all. Exiles shall set a metal sigil for their pyre and consecrate the grounds using the words, "The 8 scribes gave their freedom so that we may yet have ours. Heavens shall respond, and all is set." Just keeps going. Law of 3, in the words of Solium. During the rite, each triumvirate shall act as one, unerringly and without question. The disobedient shall suffer banishment or permanent expulsion. Exiles shall move as of a single mind to demonstrate their faith and recognize that they, as we the 8, cannot prevail alone. Their worth shall be determined both by their actions and their peers. Triumvirates lacking experience in this may designate a reader, whose focus on this book may help the others to coordinate. However, only those who shall conduct the rites firsthand shall walk the path toward enlightenment and become eligible to regain their freedom. Okay, so that would appear to be the line that Treebeard was referring to, where he said that, "Oh, I'm sorry, did you not realize that everyone else has the chance to be free, but not you?" Yeah, so, I mean, at the time we hadn't read this, so that was part of what made me suspicious of him, made me think that maybe it could be that he's trying to pull a fast one on us and trick us into thinking that we can't be set free, even though we can. Make us distrustful of our friends, things like that. Doesn't end. In the words of Solium Muir, the burning pyre. At the appointed time, at the aligning of the stars, the heavens shall rain down upon the ground sufficiently prepared, and thus the 2 opposing pyres shall be set ablaze. Thus shall commence the rite. Triumvirates are to protect their pyres, as they would their lifeblood. Lifeblood itself is never to be shed, before, during, or after any rite, lest the disobeyer suffer permanent expulsion. Exile is injury enough. The rite is an act of mercy. Fear not the purifying flame. Plunge into it headlong and without fear, where you shall be protected by the stars themselves. Seek freedom in the flame. No comment. The aura, in the words of Solium Muir. I mean, at this rate, if we're just going through all of the fundamentals of the rites, then we could be here all day. We'll see. Exiles bearing the raiments and this book reveal their hidden inner aura in the color of their flame. The aura is the exile's solitary weapon in the rites. Should one's adversary cross one's aura, the adversary shall be banished. Banishment is fleeting, nothingness. Seek the pyre's light, and thus make your return. The exile's presence shapes the aura. Exiles gain greater auras while standing side by side with their triumvirates, for we gain strength together. Exiles may cast their aura through sheer force of focus on this book. The Celestial Orb. As the 2 flames are lit, so shall the Celestial Orb fall from the heavens. But one such orb shall be availed by the stars, requiring triumvirates to vie for it. Its cosmic connection to the flames, raiments, and this book bestows the necessary qualities for its bearer to prevail. Effortless sails the orb between the 3 in a triumvirate. It seeks the grasp of whoever acts among the three. Once grasped, the orb shall draw within it all the bearer's aura, fueled by the triumvirate's own flame. It is to be cast into the flame. In each rite, we gain enlightenment, whether we prevail or we fail. Indeed, through failure, do we tend to learn the most valued lessons, provided we survive. None among us have prevailed without any. Exiles who walk the path toward enlightenment shall at times be struck by an epiphany and achieve mastery in some respect. Choose well amongst these blessings we bestow. Thus, you may yet achieve your potential and surpass your adversaries. Whenever you prevail, your triumvirate earns favor. In time, the triumvirate with the most favor shall be summoned to the liberation rite, earn a chance at freedom. Then, the cycle shall begin anew. That's the path. Liberation, maybe? Hey, I called it. Liberation. Again, in the words of Solium Muir, the liberation rite takes place upon the fall of Solium, under a blooded moon, witnessed by the heralds from the stars. Witnessed by the heralds of the stars. Okay, that sounds like that must be the minstrels, then. There, the most favored triumvirate shall confront the one which we appoint. One which we appoint being the Nightwings. These two triumvirates shall pass through Scribe's Gate, where their worth shall be assessed under the stars. Only the most enlightened exiles within each triumvirate may be anointed for a chance at freedom. 2 of their companions shall support them whilst they strive. Only the most enlightened. Okay, so I was noticing before that it seemed as though the exiles that were eligible to become free changed over time. Because, for example, on the first go-round, Ruki was eligible to be liberated. It was the 3 original exiles, Ruki, Hedwyn, and Jodariel. But then the second go-round, surprisingly, Ruki was not eligible, and yet some of the people that we met later, like I think Tay, and I forget who the last person was, obviously Hedwyn. But I wasn't sure as to why that changed. But maybe it's just you always have the option of choosing between whichever 3 exiles have the most enlightenment, regardless of when you met them or how central they are to your team. The anointed champion of the triumvirate which prevails shall then plunge into the Shimmer Pool and return in glory. That might be the end? That's the end! Alright, story time is over, children. Let's continue our journey. You rise early that morning, though Gertrude is already awake. She scowls at you.
Good morning, reader. Gertrude, I trust your stay has not been too uncomfortable.
Nay, Sandal. The comforts of this place are not for us. Fly us forth to lower ground. Let us get on with all this.
The reader here shall do so. Once the group is ready, I thank you for your patience.
Alright, let's get out of here. Off to our next rite. So we're headed back. Oh, okay. We'll check it out. I don't think it's going to be too notable, because most of these seem to be pretty minor things that we pass, but soaring far above Sklorian shore, you notice Pamitha gazing down at the frozen cliffs below. That damned place down there. I like it least of all, I think, among everywhere we've been. I'm thankful that there's been no reason to return. Reminds me of my home is all. The Highwing remnants. We all grew accustomed to the thinner air amid the cliffs that reaches the clouds above your commonwealth. But it was not the nicest place. Little wonder that my sister settled for rather warmer fates of operations in this land,
there by the nest of Trieste. Anyway, I'm pleased to spend as little time as possible near here. Let's fly on by and go about our business.
Whoa, who's this? The Tempers! Hey, what's the big idea, huh? Oh, it's the Nightwings. Come to rub it in again, I guess. We Tempers, we've been trading flames with you. Who knows how long. So what? You got us once or twice lately. Matter of time before we go and get you back. So, you might want to keep that in mind next time you go messing with these horns, hear me? Now get out of my sky. Oh, we can crash into you too.
Everyone's over here! Unbelievable. Again, our hated enemies befall us. This rabble think they can eke out a victory once more? Would that these blasted rights did not impose such arbitrary rules. Then we would use our talents here and now. Rather. Know this, you fools. However high you may attempt to fly in that abomination, you shall always be beneath us.
Alright, we'll be on our way. Well, and everyone's out and about today. Everyone. Seriously. Apparently this one is quite far away. Alright, I mean, we're going right by it, but Gertrude slithers up to you as the black wagon passes through the skies above her former abode.
Our kind who lurk below. They would scarce believe we soar above them now. We told them that Sandalwood came to fetch us, that we shall not return for some time. Our most accomplished laborers with whom we shared so many moons in exile. We trust that they shall carry forth the reputation of our services, for we taught them all we know.
She seems almost nostalgic as she lists off the various services provided at Big Gertrude's. Curses, bombs, potions, powders, cleaning reagents, sleep medicines, fungicides, seances. Big Gertrude's earned quite a name for herself throughout the downside, for these and other things.
When we are finished here, provided we do not return from whence we came, we shall return to our establishment and carry on our business here, for there is much demand.
Okay. If you say so. Business is booming, apparently. Here we are. Okay. For whatever reason, seemingly every time we end up over here, oh, it's these guys. I mean, we have to say hello to these guys, right? Oi! What in the bloody blazes? Alright, I think I just gave him an Australian accent that time. But I think he actually may be supposed to have an Australian accent. He does use some Australian slang, I think. But anyway, Barker notices your wagon at his play there and begins to laugh. Well, if it isn't the Nightwings flaunting their fancy flying wagon, eh? You think you're better than us, mates, eh? See, he says mates. Clearly, he's Australian. Pah! You ain't better than the dung I stepped in last night. Now, get on out of here, or I have a mind to leap on over there and rip your gizzards out. You hear me? If you say so. Okay, so the north route across the Jomir Valley passes the remains of the Hive Titan. Lone Minstrel suggests that a good supply of Starbust. Oh my goodness. Good supply of Stardust. Starbucks while we're at it. Stardust may be found along this route. Otherwise, over here, south route across the Jomir Valley is riddled with barren rock and bone. Sir Gilman believes this is the faster route. Should have time to pursue your vocations. Vocations versus Stardust. Stardust is the stuff, I believe, if I remember correctly, that upgrades our talismans. We've been holding on to all of the Stardust that we've been able to accumulate thus far and haven't used any of it yet, because we were thinking, well, let's wait until we have a talisman that we know we want to upgrade for sure, instead of wasting it all on some not-so-great talismans. That being said, we've been a little bit cash-starved as of late, and therefore haven't been able to buy any Stardust for the past several rounds at the merchant. So we may not have quite as much as we might have expected to have at this point in the game. That being said, locations are, of course, also quite solid. I think we can go for locations. We do still have a fair bit of Stardust stockpiled, so why not? And let's talk to our friends as well. Who'd we have? Oh, Bolfred. Bolfred is poring over a copy of the Book of Rites as you approach. Okay, so he has one of the 40. Which, I mean, assuming that it's not this copy right here, that's actually, I mean, one could have assumed that he was probably one of the ones to have a copy, but then again, if there are only 40, that means he's amongst the pretty prestigious group there. But again, we probably would have known that anyway. So, he looks up at you and smiles.
The road to freedom, written in a book that hardly anyone believes exists, and fewer still can read and comprehend. Sometimes I marvel how absurd all this is, my boy. Tell me something, though. I've spent so much time considering the book, but know so few with whom I could discuss it in much detail. You've had some time to turn through it by now, so what do you think? With all the fuss?
Bolfred wants to know your thoughts about the Book of Rites. This is an unusual question. Haven't really had anyone question it at all. I don't think. And obviously he knows it well because he read. You find it fascinating. You've come across more than your fair share of books, but none quite like this. You find it tedious. It is an archaic volume dense with lore you are not concerned with at this point. We've read through it pretty closely. Read through everything that we've seen thus far. You only skim it. You would rather reserve judgment until you have had more reading time. Or you cannot say. The Book of Rites is meant to be experienced and cannot be described. I think it's fair to say we find it fascinating. We have read, as I said, every page that's become available to us. You tell Bolfred the book has fascinated you, and that you have never seen anything quite like it. He nods slowly as you describe your experience with it.
I share that sentiment. To have in our possession a genuine artifact from a forgotten time. How much of it is exactly true, and how much of it is the scribe's retelling of events. I find it endlessly fascinating to consider, I must admit.
He puts away his copy of the book with care.
It is amazing that these volumes have survived all this time, I think. Whatever there are made of has withstood the ravaging effects of time quite well. And the ideas there contained, they remain rather provocative as well. To think that the Commonwealth disavows of the existence of this book, despite official recognition of the 8 scribes. Although, the reasons why are in there, written plain. How fascinating that its secrets have been kept for all this time. Anyway, you'll have to excuse me for my extracurricular interests in its teachings. I used to teach a version of its history.
To have access... Oh, that's still him. Very different voice.
To have access to the real thing has brought me some small pleasure. Let us be certain to preserve these volumes for whomever shall be next to use them.
He turns his attention to other matters and bids you a good afternoon. Oh, haven't seen these before. Bertrude's decks. Unusual etched cards depicting the Greater Titans. Probably for curses and enchantments. Whoa! That's scary. Okay, maybe let's just leave that alone then. Alright, let's explore Fall Flat, and this was the place where we thought we would have time for our vocations, but maybe not. Let's see. You spend a quiet afternoon in the barren wastes of Fall Flat, surveying the area with some of your companions. Hail, noble rookie! What tidings? Nothing much worth noting, or worth troubling about. How about we head back? Your investigation yields nothing of note. The three of you return to the wagon for the remainder of the day, where you should have time to pursue your vocations. Okay, yeah, we do have time to pursue our vocations then. And, you'd think we'd be fine exploring this area given how we've been to this exact spot maybe 3 times? Okay, so now the question of the money's trying to get a little bit of power-ups across the board for all of our party members, or do we pick a specific person to try to target? And I think we go with that. We've started to lean more toward this as of late. Granted, we don't have many people who are primed to rank up. Well, a few. Sir Gilman certainly would. Pamitha also would. And Bertrude, we have yet to see what she's all about. Let's see. Glory? That's how much damage she deals, and I think that is the highest that we have right now. Yeah, we have a few 20s. Ace 20. Oh, didn't remember that. Pamitha's 20. But Bertrude is big, slow, and 25. The only person who had 25 previously was Jodariel. Actually, I think she's still faster than Jodariel. 13? How does that compare to some of the other people? It's faster than Pamitha. I mean, Pamitha has some speed bonuses when she's flying and use her dash ability in rapid succession for less stamina. I mean, that's not exactly quickness per se. You're absolutely faster. Faster than Tizo, who is surprisingly slow. Yeah, she's actually not that slow. Well, I mean, she's no speed demon, but she's surprisingly okay in terms of speed. Deals a lot of damage, has low hope, so it takes her forever to respawn, it looks like. Which, again, is not so surprising given that she's one of those big, slow characters that seems like that tends to be the case, that those two are, or that all those things are paired together. And then present, she probably has a large aura. 19 compared to 7, 5, 17. That's pretty close. 10, 3 is tiny. Yeah, she's the sort of like, dare I say, a replacement for Jodariel. Albeit, I'm sure she has much different skills and talents that we just have yet to unlock. Okay, but anyways, I digress. We're looking for someone to mentor. And I think the answer is either Sir Gilman or Pamitha, given how each of them would rank up if we were to do that. And Pamitha permanently gains 8 quickness if we were to get this level. So that's probably the route we would take. Otherwise, after saluting her adversaries, Pamitha instantly switches places with her nearest ally. Potentially useful, but a little gimmicky. That also looks amazing. I would probably end up using this. Given my playstyle of banish and then quickly counter, that plays right into what we usually do. So yeah, I think we do this. Why certainly, dear reader darling. How good of you to ask. You and Pamitha go over her understanding of her aura, and its connection to her presence, both physical and spiritual. The discussion proves informative. Good a time as any to say thanks for having me along on this strange little journey of yours, reader darling. Alright, and yes, as I was saying, 8 quickness is just humongous, and I cannot pass that up. That is just too fantastic.
We all have auras all the time, I think. We just can't always see them.
So, comparatively speaking, I mean, I'd kind of like to take a quick peek at how she now ranks up, or stacks up relative to others. So, her base quickness is now the same as Ruki's, for comparison's sake. That is crazy. Not to mention, she can speed up. Can we see her skills here? Oh, yes, we can. She speeds up when she's flying. She can use her dash twice in quick succession, or possibly even more than that. And then there's the +8 quickness that we just got. But yeah, I think she's gonna be crazy good now. But anyways, let us continue. And headed to the Spring of Jomir, where we're gonna take on the guys who we keep on picking on. We'll find someone else next time, I'm sure. I mean, it balances out between them and the Dissidents. Maybe we'll add some of the Titan stars as well this time. We have someone else to talk to. Sir Gilman. He looks all fired up. Sir Gilman is training intently when you approach. It's been a while since we last used him in a rite, and I wonder if he's going to comment on that. Master Reader! This knight was so engulfed in memories of the Sea Dominion that he failed to detect your stealthy advance on his position. Splendidly done! This knight would have been vanquished by you easily. This knight is fortunate to have you as an ally rather than a mortal foe. His kind routinely clambers for the depths of the Sea Dominion to seek greater glory and perhaps a slightly longer life expectancy within your commonwealth. Such an honor it would be to be assigned the rank of knight and to be conscripted onto the front lines of the commonwealth against their vicious winged enemies. In the Sea Dominion, it was our ultimate goal to fight our way to the surface, past our brethren, past the razor reefs, the strangle kelp, the snaggle fins that prey upon our kind. Sir Gilman continues listing undersea dangers and terrors for some time. Past the blood sniffers, the electric scallops, the rogue worms of the frigid current, the paralyzing nets of the far fishers, and even past the scalding waters of the glowing drench. Finally, he trails off. Yet, even despite the myriad challenges of living in the Sea Dominion, it is each would-be worm knight's duty to abandon that place at his own soonest convenience. How humorous it was to learn that life within your commonwealth had quite a bit in common with our existence undersea. Was not all plum and glory, as the stories told. Probably would. Perhaps it was our lot, as worm knights, to bring strife with us wherever we should go. For even here, it seems, our kind pitted both against us, our brethren, and all others. He remained silent for a while, but then, ah, well, it is fortunate that this knight found within this place so fine a company as yours. It is a most different change of pace to strive toward a common purpose, rather than strive constantly to outperform each other toward one's own self-gain. Although, to the extent we are competing still, this knight shall ever strive to take the lead. Make no mistake about that, Master Reader. This knight was born to be the best! Just like all the billions like him. Now, he is off to steal himself. Your pardon, Master Reader. He scoots off somewhere to continue with his self-made training regimen. Sir Gilman gained +1 quickness. Oh boy, he's already crazy speedy. Okay, we can take a quick look at our slug market dealer here, Falcon Ron, but I'm not so optimistic about us being able to afford anything. with 8 coins. Hey guys, come on in. Say now, whatever happened to the smiling Edwin guy? Did he really get out of here? Just like I've been hearing, or what? Oh, what's this? Infernal Bloom. After Bearer banishes an adversary by aura casting, Aura Burst may occur. Kind of do a... I don't know what the burst is. That kind of like a nova around you is what makes me think of. Yeah, I cannot afford these things. At present. We already know about this one. Clean the orb. Yeah, we knew about that. Okay. You guys didn't see nothing? Huh? Well, I'm broke. What I get for keep on passing up opportunities to increase our coin count. Anyways, let us commence the rite. Though the now familiar surroundings of the Spring of Jomir... does the game realize that we've been here a bazillion times already? For whatever reason, it's this location and these opponents as well. That we... Not necessarily that combination simultaneously, but the two keep on coming up. So, though the now familiar surroundings of the Spring of Jomir made preparations faster than before, the stars are already aflame by the time you and the others are gathered. The rite against the accusers is commencing soon. Please be ready, madame. Shouldn't be a problem. Always good to stretch my wings a bit. Besides, something tells me he's talking about Gertrude. You wish them all good fortune, in turn. Little else is said, and together we watch the celestial harmony in calm and silence, and await the accusers. Oh, I thought I was gonna see their little wagon come in or fly in. Okay, so one thing to note: we see that this is still red. That means that it is still active right now. Maybe we want to have it active, maybe we don't, but let's at least acknowledge the fact that we want to make a conscious effort to change these the way we see fit, and not just have them carry over from one to the next. Okay, so let's give these another look. At the start of the rite, your adversary's Pyre shall automatically gain 30 lifey stuff. Here's the opposite. We lose 30 lifey stuff. Here, your adversary shall have plus 8 hope, making them return much sooner after banishment. Your adversary shall be more cunning and much quicker to react. I still am not totally sure how to interpret that. And then this one looks new. Unfathomed Learns. Your adversaries each shall have plus 8 quickness, making them move faster. I think what I want to do this time around is I want to see... We take off this stuff. By take that off, I mean don't use any of these. However, we will, instead of using some of the talismans that make us more powerful, we'll use some of the ones that give us the coins from doing various things. I think one of them gives you coins for scoring with a certain character, and another one gives you coins for banishing foes with a certain character. So, seeing as how this has been several slug markets in a row at this point in which we haven't been able to buy anything, I'd like to start to do something about that. So, we'll weaken ourselves in a different way this time by taking some talismans that don't directly impact how powerful we are in the rite. Big Gertrude can count long distances in the rites, or something.
The much vaunted reader has returned, and it would appear his ranks grow stronger. Consorting with the bog-crone Gertrude, are we? How very strange that you befriended her.
And we're down
At
Hedwyn.
any rate, your adversaries in this rite shall be the accusers. Put out their flame and walk the path to liberty.
Okay, we're up to 100. They're up to 100, although they may have more based on what talismans they use. Anyway, we are ready for you, Nightwings. Come, accusers, let us crush them and be done here quickly.
Hold a moment, reader. The crone Bertrude slithers forth, wearing the raiments of the rites. Now that Bertrude is here among our ranks, it would be best you become familiar with her repertoire. You have no obligation to make use of her abilities, of course. Good, Bertrude? Please show the reader something of your aptitude. Blech.
Nah, we expect thou shalt be soon inclined to bring our sorceries to bear. Long have we studied these rites of thine. Let us show thee what we know of them in Spar.
The bog-crone Bertrude shows herself in full.
W to pounce.
Whoa!
What became of her accomplices? Of one accomplice in particular. You watch yourself around her, reader. None are sentenced into exile without sufficient cause.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was testing out some of those power blasts, because admittedly, I've not been doing that. Thought I did. There we go. Need to anticipate it a little more.
Now then, reading. Know that our freedom is of little consequence to us. We side with As of Sandalwood because of his plan.
Has our plan changed? No, ever since getting you, it still remained at 41%.
We shall aid ye in the rites, and we shall aid ye in that plan. Thus, we are at thy disposal and await thy bidding.
Whoa! That's a new
Who
team.
shall conduct the rite?
Hold on. That is totally different. You have Lendl, yes, but suddenly you have two demons who are fully enlightened. Uh-oh. They're banishing an adversary. This person, Darbenfor, instantly recovers all his stamina. Ooh. That sounds tricky. Permanently gains +4 presence, raising the size of his aura. Yeah, your aura is pretty humongous. Any adversaries banished by Darbenfor take 30% longer than usual to return. Okay, so it seems like they are very banishy. After using his rush to lunge forward, Darbenfor can rush again right away. Okay, that sounds familiar. Comparatively, Lendl has so little. He's only enlightened twice. He's weaker than his allies. That's interesting that the leader is not as good. Lender and his allies regenerate stamina twice as quickly as usual. While bearing the orb, Lendl and his allies move with and past the orb more quickly. So it ups their speed, and then you instantly recover your stamina after banishing. +4 presence. Takes longer for enemies to come back when you banish them, and you can rush twice. While Bear's Pyre has more than the adversary's, Bear deals bonus damage. Oh. Yikes, you're gonna deal a ton of damage then. Because you're already sitting on 30, so you're gonna deal 36. And then you start off with a 35 bonus. Okay. This is, yeah, you know, they weren't messing around when they said that these guys were gonna get more challenging the further along we got. Alright, so that, I'm glad we checked. Because that was a little bit alarming to see. But granted, we could throw somebody at them with 28 quickness. And this could work really well to counter their banish ability. That makes us stay banished for longer. I think we do that. And what do we choose to put with it? After a bear banishes an adversary, spawns a moon drop, which briefly grants infinite stamina. I think that does work really well, actually, for Sir Gilman, because the way that he banishes is different from all others, in that he actually runs backward to banish. So I think that would make it really easy for him to then go back, pick up the infinite stamina, and zoom away. So I think I like that. Then... what else can we do? I mean, Gertrude, yes, but also no. I'm just not super familiar with her, and this is looking a little more challenging than I might have originally anticipated. Tamitha does now seem amazing, now that we have given her her +8 quickness and she can fly and all that. So I think that might be a good way to go. So yeah, I think I'm leaning toward those 3. Let's do it.
Sir Gilman.
Oh, mister?
Gertrude.
Okay.
Very well.
Oh, I'm ready for them. Come then, Nightwings. We are prepared. Are you though? I'm awfully speedy.
Commence.
I'm awfully speedy.
Glory laid bare.
Oh, I did not actually mean to do that. Got it. Alright, good. So now we have an advantage. So that does mean that, whoa! I did not see that one coming. Oh, and I did not mean to do that either. Got it. No! Oh, I forgot she... The thing that's happening is I forget that she leaps forward when she does her attack. And that's why I keep on thinking I'm setting up for some attack, when in truth, I'm charging forward. There we go.
Goes Sir Gilman into flame.
Oh. Oh, you devious little dude. I was thinking we were gonna have a perfect round there. I got a little too ambitious there, or too cocky. Oh!
I almost pity what transpired there.
What? Excuse me? Excuse me! Excuse me!
Decisive blow.
What? No, not again. I cannot lose to you again. This cannot be happening to me. I mean, you were losing by more before until you just scored. Just have you know.
The Worm Knight somehow did it.
Okay, okay. Oh, I meant to... Ah, I should have fly, whatever. You know what I mean. Oh, 1 for 1? Maybe? Oh, I meant to do the same thing to you.
Poof goes Lendl.
What? I flew over it?
Wings vanished.
What?
Left yourselves wide open.
What?
Glory!
Oh no, not there yet though.
Your victory is at hand.
Not just yet.
A second win.
I mean,
It is done.
you kind of just let me stroll in there. That was closer than it should have
You
been.
deserved it, though, if you ask me.
Hardly deserved
The
it.
fight is done.
Got off to a strong start, but got a little sloppy at the end there and allowed them to come back and get some scores to make that closer than it really should have been. And some scores that we should have had as well that with Pamitha there, I flew over it or something like that. Anyways, blast that decorated constable of the Commonwealth should end up having to consort with fools as these in these cursed robes and miserable circumstances. Those damn scribes certainly exist, for it is clear that they have no love for me, or anyone of decent birth and station. Our adversary seems no stranger to defeat, and yet he wears it without dignity.
Boundless are the teachings of the scribes.
Alright, Sir Gilman leveled up.
Is elusive, O Sir Gilman, yet enlightenment is eternal.
So grateful is this knight for such a glorious occasion that he is giving strong consideration to performing here and now the forbidden dance of the Sea Dominion. Uh-oh. Please don't. It's forbidden. Presumably for good reason. Okay, so he already has the ability that if he and all of his allies are banished, he shall instantly return. I noticed this happen in that last right there. There was a moment of time in which all three of our characters were banished, and I was expecting for him to come back, and then he didn't. And had to wait for, I think it was Bertrude to respawn naturally, and by that time, Lendl had the orb and was able to leap over and take it out, or well, take it in, score. So I was a little surprised that still worked that way. I don't know if maybe it already triggered and then I blew it by, running Gilman into someone and then losing Gilman, and it's like, well, I mean, we already gave you your chance. So anyways, once per round, when saluting his adversaries, Sir Gilman freezes all exiles for 3 seconds. If you're playing from behind, and you have a bunch of people banished, then that might be okay. But, I don't know. While Gilman's allies are banished, he moves faster than usual and temporarily has infinite stamina. So I think that's a really nice combo with this. Because what happens is, if everyone gets banished, he comes back instantly and then has infinite stamina, so you can zoom all over the place. And maybe even take the orb yourself and go for a quick score. What's down here? For 10 seconds after banishing an adversary, Sir Gilman deals an additional 10 to the adversary's Pyre. I mean, we haven't been using him too much for taking enemies out, actually, but yeah, could be useful. After Sir Gilman banishes an adversary, one of his banished allies shall instantly return. That also seems amazing. Yeah, I would think we would go 1, 2, and then 3, or maybe in a slightly different order, but yeah, let's take that. You should get a ton.
The ancient throne called Bertrude opened up.
Thus does our grasp of ancient sorceries grow ever stronger still.
Alright, so this is the first time we've seen her skills. So while Bertrude Pyre has less fire than the adversary, she deals an additional 5 damage. Ooh. So, comeback style there. While Bertrude's Pyre has more fire than the adversary's Pyre, she deals an additional 5 damage. So, you could do both of these and have it both ways. I wonder if that's the common theme here. So this is the underdog and this is the favorite side. Let's see, so here, then Bertrude's aura blast arcs at a wide angle, banishing adversaries in a larger area. I mean, it seems like she has a really large attack. Granted, despite that, I seemed unable to take anyone out with her. The charge up time before Bertrude can use her aura blast is greatly reduced. That could also be useful. these being two very attack-based setups, and then here, while Bertrude's Pyre has less fire than the adversary's, her adversary deals -5, or -10 rather, to her Pyre. That's pretty huge. I mean, if you consider that some enemies only deal 15 when they score under usual circumstances, you take out 2/3 of that, and suddenly it's almost meaningless. That looks quite powerful. Let's look at the rest of this side. So this is the additional damage while you're ahead. After Bertrude pounces at an adversary, she instantly recovers all her stamina. When it says pounces at an adversary, does that mean she actually needs to hit an adversary in order to regain her stamina, or does that mean any pounce and she has it back? While slithering, Bertrude uses 50% less stamina and moves 30% more quickly. I mean, she is still pretty slow. I know we were saying she's not quite as slow as Jordariel, but that would be useful. Once per right, after saluting adversaries, Bertrude turns them into fast-moving howlers. Turns her adversaries into fast-moving howlers? Why is that a good thing? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's some benefit to this that I don't fully understand right now, but at the moment, to me, it seems like this side is awfully powerful. I mean, there's some general utility here, but between this and this, I think that's pretty amazing. Maybe even skipping one of these in order to take this as well.
The secrets of the Wild Witch revealed.
Alright, I think that's the last of them. The Withdrawn are an enigmatic triumvirate compelled by sinister forces rather than freedom. Volfred and the Minstrel. After vanquishing the accusers in a convincing manner, it wasn't that convincing. You return to the wagon to find Volfred and the Lone Minstrel in the midst of a conversation. Most strange that this one star should be illuminated. This is not what I expected. Nor I, Volfred, sir. Yeah, there should be 3, we would think, and we'd be able to choose between those 3. Then, Volfred notices you there. Reader, Tariq and I observed a strange occurrence in the sky, is all. It appears that the star of Calamar Ropecaller is illuminated now. It is but another star, except our models and predictions of the cosmos did not anticipate this. Okay. Go on. Anyhow, go see for yourself. I shall make the wagons ready in the meantime. You see only a single shining star illuminated far above. It is just as Volfred indicated. You regard the looming star, discern where it leads. Is it way up north? I mean, how far up north are we talking here? Azure Star? Rogue Star? It's not as far as some of the other ones that we've gone to. It's not all the way up to Solium, the Golden Star. The Rogue Star burns bright over an isolated little island in the Sea of Solus. Manly is already on his way. Interact to challenge the Chastity. Okay. Doesn't look like we have much choice. I'm curious what our probability of success is now. Apparently it's gone up from 41 to 43. The Chastity are actually tied for first place at the moment. Or, well, first place after us. Oh, a 3-way tie, no less. So, a notable matchup in that regard. That looks kind of silly. Looked like a turtle with a sad face. Then, we are summoned to the Isle of Calamar, deep within the Deathless Tempest. Does it say here? According to the stars, the next right here will The next rite shall soon commence here. The traitor Calimer Ropecaller fled to this strange isle and met a fitting end.
Have you been there before, Tariq?
So long ago, I scarce recall the time. Only the scent. It is the place from whence the creatures native to this land sprang forth.
Reader, let's not concern ourselves with superstitions held about that place. We'll set forth at dawn, and soon see for ourselves what to make of it.
Alright, and with that, this looks like a good place to wrap things up for now. I mean, this is our third round in the Liberation Cycle, and... third Liberation Cycle? You know what I mean. And it does seem like our enemies have stepped up their game. We just went up against two enemies that were fully righteous up. So, I mean, things are probably going to get awfully tricky as we start going against some of these additional guys in the next, I think, 2 rounds before the next Liberation Rite. And I don't know, by the sound of things, looks like we might be in for a little bit of a surprise in this next encounter as well. So stay tuned. Hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.